Dr. Shabir Ali, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
My pleasure as usual.
Ramadan is winding down, Eid is coming up. Many Muslims will be experiencing post-Ramadan blues, as I call it. They might be feeling a little bit sad that Ramadan is leaving.
Yes.
I'm not sure how you're feeling. Maybe you can reflect on that.
Well, definitely as we come to the end of Ramadan, there is some sadness, and that mirrors the happiness with which we received Ramadan in the first place, and all of the expectation that we had as we anticipated the arrival of the month. So the opposite is happening now. Ramadan is receding behind us, and we know that all of the blessings and joy we used to experience during the month will come to an end, well, not a complete end, but will be greatly reduced. And we're looking forward now to days in which we might gradually fall back into our sinful ways and into our preoccupations with the things of this world that we know tend to drag us down from the spiritual heights that we experience during the month of Ramadan.
One of the things that some Muslims, I hear that some Muslims say they experience is guilt. And perhaps, I'm sure you and I, we both experience that as well. So we have this feeling that we didn't do enough in the month of Ramadan. It's slipping away, and we lost the opportunities that were available to us. And I think that guilt can be good, but it can also be bad. It can be debilitating, right? You know, so that you don't enjoy the blessings and the opportunities that were available to you. And, you know, so it can be good and bad. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting that you put it that way. I think it is important that we do not become depressed based on what has happened in the past, because the past is always unrecoverable. And there's no sense crying over spilt milk because you can't put it back in the bottle. We need to move forward, and there are still good and blessed days ahead of us. After Ramadan comes a day of Eid, and that is a day on which we glorify God, and we come out for the prayers en masse, and we offer dua together, supplication before God, in one of the largest gatherings of the year. Following Eid, one can continue to fast, voluntary fasts, 6 days of the month of Shawwal, that's the month following the month of Ramadan, is recommended for fasting. And there are voluntary fasts which can be done in any month of the year. 3 days per month are recommended, the 13th, 14th, and 15th of each month. There are also special days coming up 2 months after the Eid al-Fitr, that marks the end of Ramadan. Those days precede the next Eid, which marks the sacrifice of Abraham. And those are also blessed days, the first 10 days of the month of Dhul Hijjah, the last month of the Muslim calendar, and that is the time when people will go to perform Hajj. So there are a lot of blessed time throughout the year, and we need to look forward and look ahead for those times when we might capitalize on God's blessings.
So all hope is not lost, is what you're saying.
Exactly, yes.
So how do we take the lessons of Ramadan that, you know, we experienced and we learned, how do we take them forward to the rest of the year?
Well, we need to reflect on the Quran, for one thing. The Quran is a book that we have been devoted to during the month of Ramadan. By now, most mosques have completed the recitation of the entire Quran, and our minds are filled with all of that recitation. That's like music to our ears and food for the soul. But we have to take it further by pondering on the meanings of what we have recited in the Quran or what we have heard. We need to study the commentaries on the Quran, and most importantly, we need to apply the teachings of the Quran in our lives, and that will have to be day to day after Ramadan is over. And in a way, it is a good thing that God does not give us Ramadan for throughout the year. One might say, well, you know, Ramadan is so nice, why can't we have it throughout the year? Well, of course, if we had it throughout the year, it will no longer be so special. It'll be like being there and done that. It'll be mundane because it's common. It occurs every day.
And we wouldn't be able to commit ourselves to it, right?
That
because
too.
You know, people work, people study, people are doing all sorts of things with their lives.
Yes, and when we talk about blessed days, you know, there is a sense in which we say, okay, I know that these are special days, so I'm going to fortify myself and perform perform
We
the
plan for
actions.
it, right? We look forward to it, plan for
Plus,
it.
we're going to avoid sins on these holy days. But human beings as we are, naturally we will return to some of our bad habits. Our guards will be down sometimes. But the fact is that we can't keep our guards up all of the time. And if every day was a holy day, like Ramadan is, then God forbid, we would end up sinning on a holy day. So in a way, it's good that God has given it to as a limited number of days, and we have other days. But there's another dimension to this as well. Like when we're in devout during Ramadan, like some people may say, okay, I want to take my holidays during Ramadan from work. So I have my 2 weeks off, 2 weeks in Ramadan. Good, I can enjoy the time to worship in Ramadan. But the real challenge is when you have gone back to work, when Ramadan is over, can you maintain the principles and the teachings of the Quran and what you have been practicing in Ramadan? Can you stay honest? Can you be truthful? Can you be trustworthy? Can you fulfill your obligations that you are being paid to fulfill? Can you fulfill your contracts, abide by your promises, and so on? That becomes the real challenge. When you're thrust into the real world and you have to interact with other people, when you have to deal with people who are not necessarily the kind of buddy that you know from the mosque, but you go out into the world and maybe somebody will discriminate against you. How might you as a Muslim hold your head high? How might you remain proud to be a Muslim and at the same time kind and considerate of other people? How might you be understanding of other people, and so on? All of these are the challenges that we will face after Ramadan, and that will prove the worth and benefit of the deeds that we perform during the month of Ramadan.
Now, Eid is coming up. What are your plans for Eid, first of all? What would you like to advise people in terms of how to have fun, how to celebrate Eid?
Well, Eid is a time of celebration and having some fun, but of course halal and permissible fun within the religion of Islam. Most commonly, what Muslims do, and what I'm planning to do as well, is that I will share meals with other Muslims, either by inviting Muslims to my place, our place, or by going to their place, and both. We will enjoy some time in the mosque as well with our prayers in the morning. There will be some recitations and praises of God. We'll even have some of the children come forward and recite some of these. And, anything we say just sounds so much better when the children say it
true.
for us. We like to hear their voices. All of these things add a joy to the entire day. And of course, following from Eid, we have to have some resolutions. Where are we going from here? Are we going to just simply return to our old selves, or will we be energized with the spirit of Ramadan for the rest of the year?
Thank you for your time, Dr. Shabir Ali.
You're welcome.